How many times have you heard the phrase miracle cure? It's painted across magazine covers, whispered on morning shows, scrawled on internet banners promising to fix what aches inside you. A miracle for your joints, a miracle for your blood pressure, a miracle for your manhood. And maybe, like many of the men I see in my practice, you've clicked on one of those headlines. Maybe you've bought the bottle, mixed the powder, swallowed the pill, and maybe, more than once, you've waited, quietly, hoping it would finally be the one that worked, that something, anything, would begin to feel different. But instead, the days pass. Your energy is still a step behind your will. Your legs feel heavy when they used to be strong. Intimacy becomes more distant, not because the desire has gone, but because your body doesn't cooperate the way it used to. And so you start to believe that maybe this is just the way things go. That vitality was for your younger self, that you've missed your window. But what if I told you that healing, real healing, isn't about lightning bolts or instant transformations? What if it starts, instead, with quiet, consistent acts of care? Not miracles, but moments. Small choices made each morning, a warm mug held in your hands, a blend of natural ingredients, not because they're magical, but because they've stood the test of time. I'm not here to sell you a dream. I'm here to tell you the truth, the kind that's often overlooked because it's not flashy, because it doesn't shout. And yet, it works. Slowly, gently, in the way that nature often does. I've seen it in my patients, men who arrive defeated but not done. Men like George. George was 72 when I first met him. A retired carpenter with thick hands and a quiet gaze, the kind of man who didn't complain much. But when he sat across from me, he let out a slow breath and said, "Doc, I feel like my legs are filled with sand. They don't listen to me anymore." He wasn't talking about just fatigue. He meant something deeper, a sense of being stuck in his own skin. Mornings where getting out of bed felt like climbing a hill, nights where intimacy was a memory more than a reality. He had tried a few things already, pills, creams, even some supplements he bought online from a name he couldn't pronounce. Nothing worked. But George wasn't looking for miracles anymore. He just wanted better. Not perfect, just better, lighter legs, more ease, a little more feeling in the places that had gone quiet. So we started small. I gave him a simple recipe, a mix of raw apple cider vinegar, a spoonful of honey, a dash of ground ginger, and a pinch of cayenne, mixed into warm water and sipped slowly before breakfast. I told him, "This isn't a cure, but it's a nudge, a way of waking up the parts of you that still remember how to work." He nodded, skeptical but willing. I could see in his eyes that he didn't expect much. But he tried it anyway, every morning, without fail, and over time, weeks, not days, he began to feel a shift. His steps grew lighter, his mornings a little more alert, his confidence, though still quiet, began to return. Now, was it just the vinegar mix? Not entirely. George also began walking more. He stretched in the mornings, he stopped skipping breakfast. But he told me once, "It started with that drink. It made me feel like I was doing something again, like I hadn't given up." And that's why we're here. Let me explain what's really going on inside your body, what vinegar and these natural additions are actually doing. You deserve to understand the why, not just follow instructions. Apple cider vinegar contains acetic acid, which has been studied for its gentle influence on metabolism, digestion, and blood flow. Think of it as a mild internal activator, something that stirs your system gently like embers reigniting in a hearth. When your blood vessels are stiff, when your circulation is sluggish, when your digestion is off kilter, everything slows. Energy, arousal, clarity, even your mood. This is particularly true for men over 55. The vessels that used to expand easily now resist. The nutrients that used to move swiftly now trickle. and over time, this affects everything, from your strength to your confidence to your sense of self. Acetic acid has shown potential to help blood vessels relax and open, slightly improving circulation. It may support healthier blood sugar levels, especially when taken before meals. That's crucial, because blood sugar spikes don't just lead to diabetes, they silently erode your vascular health. They damage the inner lining of your arteries, making it harder for blood to flow freely where you need it most. But vinegar alone isn't enough. That's why we combine it with other ingredients, each selected for a purpose, each backed by quiet centuries of wisdom. Honey, particularly raw and unfiltered, does more than sweeten the mix. It contains natural prebiotics that support your gut, helping your digestion stay smooth and stable. And let's not forget, a healthy gut is where nutrient absorption begins. If your gut is compromised, your body doesn't get what it needs, even from a healthy meal. Honey also soothes the vinegar's edge, making this ritual not only therapeutic, but enjoyable. A moment of care that tastes good going down. Then there's ground ginger, warm, aromatic, and used for generations as a circulatory aid. Ginger has natural compounds that promote blood flow and ease inflammation. Imagine it as a gentle internal massage, coaxing blood back into areas that feel forgotten. It's also a known digestive aid, which makes it the perfect complement to vinegar. For men struggling with slow digestion, bloating, or even acid reflux, this combination often brings quiet relief. Finally, we add just a pinch of cayenne pepper. Just a pinch. Capsaicin, the compound that gives cayenne its heat, has been shown to stimulate circulation and even support metabolism. But more than that, it warms the body from within. Many older men tell me they feel cold inside, not in temperature, but in sensation. The fire that once fueled them feels like it's flickering. Cayenne, used sparingly, helps rekindle that flame. You feel it not as a burn, but as a subtle awakening. Your blood moving a bit faster, your mind becoming a little clearer. Now imagine all of that: vinegar, honey, ginger, cayenne, swirling gently in a cup of warm water. Not hot, just warm enough to coax the flavors and activate the compounds. You take it slowly, standing at the window in the morning light, or sitting at the kitchen table in silence, not rushing, not checking your phone, just being there, present, for 5 quiet minutes with yourself. That's what I gave George. That's what I give many of my patients. And it's what I offer to you, not as a promise of miracles, but as a pathway back to yourself. You see, most men I speak with aren't just looking for better circulation. They're looking for something far more personal. They want to feel engaged in their lives again. They want to look at their partners without shame or hesitation. They want to walk without pain, to get through a day without that invisible fog. And most of all, they want to believe, truly believe, that it's not too late. Let me tell you this plainly. It isn't. But the road back is not paved with shortcuts. It is made of small, repeated gestures of care. It begins with showing up for yourself each day, with drinking something warm, with stepping outside, with saying no to one more quick fix, and yes, to something honest. That honesty is what we'll explore in the second part of this conversation, because mixing these ingredients is just the first step. How you use them, how you live with them, that's where the true change happens. And in that, there is a kind of miracle, one not of speed, but of return, of remembering who you are and what your body is still capable of becoming. Let's pick up where we left off, standing there in your kitchen, hands wrapped around a warm mug, steam curling up like a whisper. That small moment isn't just about what's inside the cup. It's about what you're telling your body and your spirit. By doing it, you're saying, I haven't given up. I still care. And for many men I work with, that alone becomes the turning point. Because the greatest changes don't always start with a treatment plan or a new supplement. They begin when a man chooses to become present in his own life again. Now, you may be wondering, how does something so simple actually create change? Why does a small daily ritual matter? It matters because of consistency, yes, but also because of what it replaces. When you begin your morning with this vinegar blend, you're not just supporting circulation or digestion. You're setting the tone for your nervous system, your hormones, even your outlook. You're telling your body it's safe, that you're taking care of it. That moment of grounding reduces stress hormones. It supports blood vessel health, and it builds a sense of control in a world that's often chaotic. And when done regularly, especially alongside other mindful changes, this practice becomes part of a rhythm that restores more than just function. It restores dignity, agency, the feeling that you are doing something with your own two hands to reclaim your vitality. That kind of psychological empowerment is as therapeutic as any pill. I always encourage my patients to pair this drink with something else equally gentle, like a short morning walk. It doesn't need to be fast or long, just 10 minutes around the block, feeling the air on your face, noticing the sound of your feet on the ground. Movement stimulates blood flow, especially in areas where things have grown stagnant. Your calves, thighs, pelvis, these regions depend on circulation to stay healthy, and motion is medicine. Another powerful pairing? A moment of quiet stretching. While the drink works from the inside, your muscles and fascia respond to movement from the outside. Simple ankle rolls, a few forward bends, or lying on your back and drawing your knees to your chest. These aren't just stretches, they're signals. They tell your body, I am here, and I am willing to move forward. Some men choose to sit in silence for 5 minutes after drinking their vinegar blend. Others take that time to pray, to write in a small notebook, or to look out the window and simply breathe. It's not about the task, it's about the pause. In that pause, healing can start. That's where the stress starts to lift. That's where energy starts to build. I won't pretend that this alone will change your life overnight. But what I will say, what I've seen again and again, is that these simple habits compound. A man who begins his day with warmth and purpose is more likely to make better food choices later. He's more likely to say yes to movement, to hydration, to rest. He's more likely to feel, slowly, subtly, like himself again. And yet, I know that for many men, the idea of doing something kind for yourself can feel foreign. You've spent decades showing up for others, working long hours, providing, pushing through pain, putting your needs second or third, or not at all. But let me offer you something I've told many of my patients. Self-care is not weakness, it's not indulgence, it's strength, measured not in force but in wisdom. The wisdom to know that your body still matters, that your life still holds value. I remember a man named Luis, 67, who came into my office after a silent year of not speaking about what he was going through. His energy had plummeted. His drive for life, for connection, for intimacy had dulled into something he no longer recognized. He didn't complain. He didn't cry. He just looked at me and said, I feel invisible, not to others, necessarily, but to himself. He didn't see the man he used to be, and so he stopped trying. We started with the same drink: vinegar, honey, ginger, cayenne. He told me it felt strange at first, standing in the kitchen every morning like he was preparing some elixir. But a few weeks in, he sent me a message. I feel like I'm talking to myself again, like the engine's turning over. It wasn't magic. It was daily effort. It was his willingness to show up, even when he didn't feel like it. And with that came other changes. His gait became more confident. His voice steadier. His wife told me she noticed him smiling more often. He started volunteering again, helping a local youth group with carpentry. He had rediscovered something many men lose after 60. Not just energy, but presence. Now, I don't know where you are on your journey. You may still be in the fog, unsure if anything can truly help. You may be starting to feel the early tremors of decline. Less stamina, colder hands and feet. Nights where your mind wants intimacy but your body hesitates. Or perhaps you're further along, wondering if it's even worth trying anymore. But wherever you are, I want you to hear me clearly. It is never too late. Not for strength, not for passion, not for healing, and certainly not for care. The path forward isn't paved in overnight fixes. It's built in moments, in rituals, in simple mixtures stirred with intention. And most importantly, it's built in trust. The trust you place in yourself when you decide to try again. So what can you do, starting tomorrow morning? Wake up and give yourself 5 minutes. Mix that warm cup, 1 tablespoon of raw apple cider vinegar, 1 teaspoon of raw honey, a 1/4 teaspoon of ground ginger, a tiny pinch of cayenne. Stir slowly. Breathe while you do it. Drink it with presence, not as a task to check off, but as a gift to your body. Then take a few steps outside. Let the air meet your skin. Feel your heartbeat. Stretch. Smile if you can. Speak gently to yourself if you're able. And if it feels awkward, if it feels silly, good. That means you're doing something new, something brave. The best healing often begins in that very place of discomfort. Write it down if it helps. Keep a small notebook beside your mug. Track how you feel, not just physically, but emotionally. Has your sleep changed? Are your joints any looser? Is your mood lifting, even slightly? Healing, especially for older men, is not a straight line. It loops, it lingers, it resists. But when met with patience, it responds. And remember, you don't have to do this alone. There are clinicians like me, Dr. Camila Cruz, who walk beside men like you every day, not to push you into treatments or products, but to remind you that your experience matters, that we see you, that we hear what's unspoken, and we believe there is still more ahead of you. The truth is, you are not broken. You are not a list of symptoms or a diagnosis or an age. You are a man still becoming, still able to nourish, still able to ignite, still able to love yourself, your life, and those around you. So if you take nothing else from our time together, take this. You deserve to feel well, not because of what you've done, but because of who you are. A life lived in service and strength deserves, at the very least, care in return. And sometimes that care starts with something as small as a cup of warm vinegar tea, cradled in your hands as the sun begins to rise. Thank you for sharing these moments with me. If this message stirred something in you, if it reminded you of what's still possible, then I invite you, softly, simply, to begin, to try, to take that first, quiet sip toward a life that feels fuller. And if it helps, come back here. Watch again. We're walking this road together, one morning at a time.